At the beginning of the movie, a girl named Maddie is shown, who is mute and deaf. At the age of 13, Maddie had an infection in her throat, and since then, she completely lost her ability to speak and hear. Maddie was a very famous writer by profession, and for her writing work, she needed a quiet, secluded environment, for which she lived alone in a house in the jungle. Now, Maddie is seen cooking dinner inside her house when Sarah, one of Maddie's neighbors, comes to visit her. After arriving at Maddie's place, Sarah starts communicating in sign language. Sarah had taken a book from Maddie, which was written by Maddie herself, and Sarah has now come to return that book. Sarah tells Maddie, "I really liked the story of this book, especially the ending, which I loved very much." Sarah adds, "I didn't expect such an ending for this story." In response, Maddie tells her, "I write 7 different endings for every story, and then I choose the best ending from among them to use in the story." While Maddie and Sarah were talking outside the house, a very loud siren starts blaring from inside Maddie's house. After entering the house, they see that the food Maddie was cooking, just before starting to talk to Sarah, has now burned completely, and that's why the fire alarm in the room had gone off. After entering the house and turning off the alarm, Sarah asks Maddie, "This alarm makes such a loud noise. Doesn't it cause you any trouble?" Maddie replies, "Since I can't hear anything, I've set this alarm to be very loud so that I can feel its vibration." Sarah then invites Maddie to her house for dinner, but Maddie declines. "I still have a lot of writing left for my new book." After Sarah leaves, Maddie starts her writing work. Now, it's seen that Maddie has written 7 different endings for her new story, but choosing any one of them was becoming extremely difficult for her. So she stopped writing for a while and started tidying up the room. Just then, suddenly, Sarah is seen knocking on Maddie's door from outside, severely injured, because a psycho killer, a mentally unstable murderer, was chasing Sarah to kill her. This killer suffered from a mental illness. While appearing normal like any other person on the outside, deep down, he enjoyed killing people immensely. He took great pleasure in brutally murdering any stranger. When this killer came to kill Sarah, he was knocking very loudly on Maddie's door from outside. But since Maddie couldn't hear anything, she was unaware of what was happening to Sarah at that moment. Gradually, that killer kills Sarah right in front of Maddie's house. And while killing Sarah, the killer was watching Maddie from outside and realized that she couldn't hear anything. To be sure, the killer himself now knocks loudly on Maddie's door, but no sound reaches Maddie's ears. After seeing all this, the killer becomes sure that Maddie is mute and deaf, and now he targets Maddie. Maddie finishes her housework and starts writing again, and then the killer opens Maddie's door and enters inside. Then he stands behind Maddie and reads her story writings. And until now, Maddie hadn't realized anything about the killer's presence. The killer could have killed the girl right then, but he decides to play with Maddie and kill her slowly by tormenting her. Just as the killer was standing behind Maddie, Maddie's sister Video calls her on the laptop, and then the killer takes Maddie's phone and leaves her room. After talking to her sister on the video call, Maddie opens her laptop and starts writing again. Then she notices that a message has arrived on her laptop from her own phone. Opening that message, she sees a picture taken of her from outside her house, and in this way, several more pictures are sent to her. Whenever Maddie was doing something, pictures of that were being taken and immediately sent to her. After seeing these pictures, Maddie becomes extremely frightened, and slowly, as she looks towards her door, she sees that her door is open. Maddie slowly moves towards that door with great fear, and upon reaching the door, she sees the masked killer standing in front of the door, holding her phone. After seeing this, Maddie becomes terrified and somehow runs and shuts her door. Now the killer starts prowling around Maddie's house. Since the killer had Maddie's phone, Maddie decides she will ask for help from the police via her laptop. But before that, the killer turns off the meter switch from outside, causing all the lights and internet connection in her house to go out. And now, Maddie is completely trapped inside this house. Since she lived in the jungle, getting any kind of help from neighbors was almost impossible. And on top of that, Maddie couldn't speak, so there was no way to scream for help. Now Maddie notices that the killer has punctured all 4 tires of her car, so that she cannot escape from here in any way. Standing at this point, Maddie couldn't figure out what to do, when an idea came to her mind. She writes a message for the killer on her door using lipstick. "I haven't seen your face, and I won't tell anyone about you. Also, my boyfriend will be home very soon." After reading this message, the killer takes off his mask and shows his face to Maddie, as if to tell her, "Even if you see my face, it doesn't matter to me because I can kill you whenever I wish." After seeing this, Maddie becomes extremely scared, and her confidence shatters. Then Maddie takes a knife and a hammer from the kitchen and goes into the bedroom, locking the door from inside. But after a while, someone is seen knocking on the window of that room. Upon going to the window, Maddie sees the killer making Sarah's corpse knock on her window. After seeing this, Maddie breaks down mentally and starts crying there because, Until now, she didn't know Sarah had died. After a while, Maddie realizes that Sarah must have her phone, and somehow she needs to retrieve her phone from Sarah's body. So Maddie activates her car alarm using the remote, and hearing the car's noise, the killer goes towards the car. Taking advantage of that opportunity, Maddie climbs out of her window and tries to search for her phone near Sarah. But here it is seen that the killer had already taken the phone from Sarah. By the time Maddie was climbing back inside through the window, the killer arrives there. And while Maddie is entering, the killer also tries to enter her house through the same window. But just then, Maddie slams the window shut hard, and the killer's hand gets caught in the window. Maddie then finds a hammer nearby and strikes the sharp end of the hammer onto the killer's hand. Here, for a moment, the hunter becomes the hunted. After a while, with a bandage on his hand, the killer starts prowling around Maddie's house again. Maddie was watching the killer's movements from inside. As soon as the killer goes to the back of her house, Maddie opens her door and tries to run away. Seeing Maddie running away, the killer shoots an arrow towards her as a warning. Scared because of this, Maddie runs back inside her house. After a while, Maddie goes up to the first floor of her house and starts watching the killer. When the killer goes to the back of her house again, Maddie opens the first floor window and climbs onto her roof. Then she lights a torchlight and throws it far into the jungle so that, seeing the torch, the killer gets distracted, and Maddie can escape. But this time too, Maddie's plan fails completely. The killer sees Maddie on the roof from a distance and shoots an arrow towards her, which pierces Maddie's leg, causing her to fall on the roof. The killer then starts climbing onto the roof using a ladder kept outside. At that moment, Maddie somehow pushes the killer, making him fall off the roof, and she snatches his bow and arrow. Taking this bow and arrow, Maddie climbs back inside her house through the roof window. After entering the house, Maddie notices that blood is gushing profusely from where the arrow had pierced her leg, and she is in tremendous pain. To fix it, Maddie uses a lot of alcohol on the wound. Because of applying alcohol to the cut, Maddie starts writhing in pain. Then she ties a cloth around her injured area. Now Maddie notices that the killer's bow has 13 marks on it, indicating that he has killed 13 people so far. After a while, John, Sarah's husband, arrives searching for Sarah. John was about to call the police when the killer approaches John and introduces himself as a police officer. He tells John, "A call for help was made to the police from this house, and I'm here to check on it. As soon as I arrived, someone attacked me, causing severe injury to my hand." But while talking to John, when the killer takes out his mobile from his pocket, one of Sarah's earrings falls out. The killer had put it in his pocket after taking it from Sarah's ear when he killed her. Seeing Sarah's earring in the killer's possession, John becomes suspicious of him. So, to distract him, John tells him, "A spare key to this house is hidden somewhere nearby." While the killer is searching for that key, John picks up a stone to hit the killer. Just as John is about to strike the killer, Maddie starts banging loudly on her door for help. Hearing the noise from the door, when John looks towards Maddie, the killer attacks John. He stabs John in the throat with a knife. Here, John was much larger and stronger than the killer. So even after being injured, John attacks the killer, grabs his throat, and holds him down. At that time, John signals to Maddie to run away. Soon after, John slowly dies there. Now Maddie is seen trying to run away, but because of her leg injury, she can't run very fast. Shortly after running a little distance, the killer attacks her from behind. He uses a big rock to completely crush Maddie's head. It seems like Maddie is completely dead there, but actually, nothing like that happens. This was Maddie's imagination. She was only thinking about what might happen to her if she tried to escape. Now Maddie starts talking to herself. She starts checking all possible escape options from here. Now Maddie realizes that running away from here is not possible for her. She also can't turn on the house power and call the police because the killer is prowling right outside. She also can't hide inside the house for long because a lot of blood is flowing from her leg, causing her to feel cold. And she's seeing things blurry, so it's impossible for her to hide inside the house for long. Maddie decides that she must kill the killer somehow, so she prepares the killer's bow and arrow. Meanwhile, it's seen that after killing John, the killer takes cigarettes from John and starts smoking. At that time, Maddie comes out of her house and shoots an arrow at the killer. Although the arrow hits the killer, it doesn't kill him. So Maddie runs back inside the house. But while entering, an arrow slips from her hand and falls outside the door. When Maddie reaches her hand outside to grab that arrow, the killer hits her hand with a stick, breaking all her fingers. Because of this, Maddie starts writhing in pain again. Seeing all this, the killer enjoys it very much. After lying there like that for a while, Maddie suddenly finds courage from somewhere. She stands up and starts staring into the killer's eyes. Then, using the blood from her foot, she writes on the door, "Do it, coward." After seeing this, the killer brings an iron rod from Maddie's car to break down this door. Meanwhile, Maddie writes the killer's description on her laptop. What he looks like, how tall, his appearance. And she also writes that she died fighting. While Maddie is writing these things on her laptop, the killer is seen trying hard to break down the door from behind. After writing those, Maddie takes a knife and hides in her bathroom. But the killer was very clever. Instead of entering through the main door, he enters through the bathroom window and sits down behind Maddie, which Maddie doesn't realize at all. Standing at this point, the killer thought he had won. So he says to Maddie from behind, "I can kill you right now, or I can force you to scream." As the killer was saying these things from behind Maddie, Maddie can feel his breath and understands that the killer is right behind her. Before the killer can comprehend anything, Maddie attacks him with the knife in her hand. Then she goes to the kitchen and pretends to faint. At this time, Maddie's condition had become very bad. Due to excessive blood loss, she couldn't see properly, and she had become physically very weak. When the killer comes out of the bathroom and approaches Maddie to kill her, suddenly Maddie attacks him again by spraying insecticide at him. This causes his eyes and face to start burning. Then Maddie activates her fire alarm, which makes a very loud noise. She holds the alarm close to the killer's ear. During all this, the killer's knife falls to the ground, but even after all this, he doesn't give up. He grabs Maddie's throat with both hands and starts hitting her hard. Maddie tries hard but can't free herself. She had almost given up, but then, Maddie finds a wine opener near her hand and stabs it deep into the killer's throat. Then, after a while, the killer slowly dies there. Afterwards, Maddie takes her phone from the killer and calls the police. Then Maddie is seen sitting outside her house, and a police car is approaching her house from a distance. Now it might seem, how did Maddie call the police for help if she can't speak? Actually, when Maddie called the police, the fire alarm in the house was blaring very loudly. Hearing that noise over the phone, the police tracked her location and came to her. And here, the story of this movie ends. If you liked the video, you can subscribe to the channel.